Right, let's see what we got. My name is Hunter Reynolds, and I am the maker of LAZYCOUP. On a scale of 1 to 10, how authentically are you living your life, online and offline? Um, Online, I just like to post my work. So in that regard, I'd say a 10 for what I'm doing. Offline, I don't really like to talk about my work unless someone asks. Um, so I'd say also a 10, but in different regards. I'm always thinking about it. So I'd rather just think than to constantly speak. Um, I like when other people talk. I like to listen. I talk about it a lot with my partner and my parents, but other than that, I um, I like to tell people that I work at a print shop. Before it was like I would say that I screen print and sew, and they'd ask for pictures, and I feel like it'd derail everything, and I would have to like put on a little play, just to display what I was doing, but I'd like to just live and not really promote it. Even like when people compliment what I'm doing, they don't know it's me. I don't put tags on my personal pieces. I like to leave it all to the onlooker. If they want to ask who did it, I'll tell them, but if not, I'll just say thanks. So it's more fun that way. What is your mission? Why do you do what you do? Well, I've been reassessing this recently because I never really felt like the name Lazy Coup. I just have felt like that is the goal of every time I create something. That is the Lazy Coup, where it's the slow takeover of either printing on secondhand, making things from scratch, or reworking. Um, it's taking over piece by piece, assembling it all to my liking. Everything I sell is something I'd wear. And I've had a lot of people say that I'm just trying to sell them on things, but I'm just telling them why I like it. I don't try to sell anything. I'll put it back on the rack if you don't like it. For the longest time, I was thinking that I had to identify myself with the name, but as of recently, I have come to realize that I have always introduced myself as Hunter, and that's helped me kind of remove myself from my work in a way where it's still the most personal thing that I can make, but it's not necessarily who I am. It's what I'm doing and what I am. So I I do it because I want it to be seen, and I want to make concepts that I haven't seen before and excite people in ways that they might want to create, but um, I don't feel like I'm really doing it for any other reason other than because I want to see it. If someone identifies with it, they can take it home with them. Or if someone has a good idea that they want to execute that I can do and they need help with, I'll do it. But I just want to make and keep making. There's not really necessarily a concrete plan other than to experiment and kind of go at it. Sometimes no pattern. Um, Sometimes there needs to be a pattern for pants or jackets, but like with the bags, I won't use a pattern just to see what happens. Just experimentation, really. You left a stable career as an electrician. What made you choose yourself and your passion? I was doing this while I was an electrician, drawing in the work van, hand stitching, even sometimes mending, repairing. I was always thinking about it, and I would come home from work and I'd be so beat. I would sleep for 2 to 3 hours a day, wake up at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, eat dinner, and then sew until like 1 in the morning. Go to bed, wake up at 6 again, and do that every single day. And I went to trade school, and I was kind of going on and off with the sewing, trying to figure out where I could print. And I just kept doing it, regardless of how tired I was or what was happening. And I didn't feel like I could balance both. I love electricity. I love the trades. I think they're a great path, but I couldn't balance both. So I just really had to choose. And um, in the trades, you really don't leave behind anything, at least as an electrician, because it all gets covered, um, either behind the drywall or in conduit. And people only really care about you when it doesn't work. But like with this, they care about you when it works. So it's cool. I think about it a lot because I spent 4 years doing it. Um, and I kind of was setting everything up for it to kind of be half and half, where I was in the trades and then I was also doing this. But um, I could always go back if I want. I'll have the certification forever. But I can spend a lot of time now. I'll spend 18, 20 hours a day doing this if I can. Just in the studio, sometimes for 3 days straight. So I don't think I could have done that in the trades. I would have been sleeping most of the time. But I just wanted to see what would happen, really.
I mean, it seems like you have an obsession with what you do.
Yeah, it's different than most of what is out there, I feel, where people can do most of their work on their laptop. Like, I'm envious of people that can just buy a hard drive, or not have to store. I probably have over 1,000 pieces that I'm waiting to print on, and that takes up a lot of room. And I enjoy doing it, but it takes too much space. And I recently had a person ask if they could come into the studio and hang out. They're doing like once a week right now, and they'll just come in and see what I'm doing, help me out. And in return, I'll give them either things to do or pieces, whether that's secondhand that they like or printed pieces, or even opportunities. Like, she came and asked if she could burn a screen and start printing her own pieces. And she helped me organize like probably 500 pieces, and it would have taken me 3 days. But I kept giving her stacks, and she organized them. It was incredible. So that was another thing that I couldn't do in the trades, was really network. I work part-time at a print shop, part-time doing this. But for the first year, I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants, doing it full-time, just trying to stack all the blocks. My goal was to work in a print shop, and I used what I did as a portfolio to get in. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was in the trades. So I'm learning a lot about printing right now, getting a lot of resources that I couldn't before. Yeah, opportunity. Everything you create is one of one. Does that make it harder to let go of your work or more meaningful? I'd say it makes it more difficult. The printing one of ones are a lot easier to let go of. Um, they're the curation of the pieces that I'll print on takes sometimes months, sometimes a year. I'll sit on certain pieces for over a year before I either get the right design or feel confident enough to throw it in the rotation to print on. So there's certain pieces that I print on that are harder to let go, but like with the t-shirts and the button-ups and the pants, they're a lot faster. But it's taken me about 2 years to make it fast. So before, everything was meaningful. Like, the sewing meant just as much as the screen printing. But now I print in order to keep sewing. So I'd say the sewing is the most meaningful, just because the most I've ever spent on a piece is 75 hours. It took like 9 months. I did it over the course of my first market season. And I was like 40 hours into it, and I wanted to quit, but I knew I couldn't. So like, that pair of pants not only has the work done to it, but the story behind it. So there are certain pieces that you spend so much time with them that you kind of start to attach a story and not just a design or a print. And I'll put a price on it that I think is fair, and a lot of people price to sell. I price to admire, and I used to be very rigid with pricing, but now if it speaks to somebody, the price is always, there's some wiggle room if you really want it. But I just need to like feel that connection between the two. And if the stars align, I've been blessed before with that situation, and I want to continue that, so I try to when I can. But I'll spend 40 hours on a bag and never see it again. So definitely harder with the sewing. But I mean, even I've given personal pieces away because people have liked them, and I said I'd never give them away. And then I'll give them away, and when I want to wear it again, I'll kind of kick myself, but they'll be wearing it more than me because I got too much right now. So I'd say probably both. Harder, but also more meaningful. But like, sometimes I'll want to sell things for a price that I think is a little bit too outlandish. So I'll just want to give it away for free because I don't even want to entertain money because I know I just like it too much. So I'll just give it away. I think it's so hard that it just becomes easy. Where it's like, I love this so much that I'd rather not sell it, so I don't have to put a price on it. I price a lot per print because I'll print one by one by one. So like this pair of pants has 40 prints on it, but I printed every single one and then I flashed it on the heat and then it cured the ink and then I'll print again and then I'll cure it, print, cure. So like the printing alone will take a couple hours sometimes, but I want to make sure that if I put a lot of time into it, a lot of people will see it. And some pieces I price to move, some pieces I price to admire. But the prints usually like 45 to 80. It also depends on the piece because I printed on 60s pieces the whole way up to modern. So it's like if I can get the piece again, I'll move it. If not, I printed on jackets from the 70s or 60s where if I mess up, that's a piece of history gone. Um, so there are a lot of factors that go into it, but there are also connections that are made that if it is right, I want you to have it. I just need to be able to keep printing and feed myself. That's really all I care about. I don't really care about much else. I don't want luxurious things. I want to drive my Nissan Rogue and possibly get the same car when that one falls apart. Um, Keep the studio going, but I don't really care about anything else. That's really it. I'll sell whatever I have to make what I can. Let's see. You started sewing as a way to process grief. How much of your work is still tied to emotion? What is your process like? I'd say everything is tied to some sort of emotion because I'll only print on things that I like. Um, and that even changes over time. Some prints that I did, I'm not aligned with anymore. Um, some ideas I had, I'll grow from or I'll evolve. And everything has some sort of attachment to it. I'm not just making for the person to buy it. I'm making so I can wear it, and if people like it, I'll make more. Um, so everything either is created with love or with intent to grow, if not both. But I put my love into it, and the second hand itself already has a history. I just want to be able to give it new meaning. So I want to add to the history of it. Recently, I did a bag where my homie came to me with a pair of overalls that belonged to his partner's grandfather, and he had them for, I guess, a couple years. He didn't know what he wanted to do with them, and he asked if I could turn it into a bag. I told him about some ideas previously with converting overalls into some sort of bag, but I just never did it because I was focused on other things. And he came to me with these ideas and asked if I could apply them. And he gave it to me in November, wanted it by Christmas. So pretty much spent every waking hour I could on it. Took like 3 weeks, but it came to life. I kind of neglected everything else just to get it done. But he had an idea and I could execute, so I did. And there was like, what, 25 years of history in the piece. I only had a finite amount of material and I couldn't mess up. So there was a lot of thinking before cutting, and I asked if I could, if there was any possibility of me getting like a video of the opening of the gift. If not, it was fine. I wasn't pressed on it, but if possible, and without him even knowing, he didn't tell anybody. He didn't record, and he said I couldn't get it, and I was like, that's fine. But then he ended up sending me a video that her mom took of her opening the bag because she was just excited for her to see it. So it wasn't relayed. There was just excitement around it, which I thought was even more interesting than um, asking anybody. There was no asking. It was just excitement from different parts of the family. Um, so once I let go of a piece, that was the first time where it was like there were people outside of the people receiving the gift that there was excitement or emotion, which I thought was really cool. But it doesn't start with me. It starts with what I don't see, and if I can execute it, I will. So that's the process. That and then a little bit of sleep, but a lot of experimentation. I think that's like the biggest thing that I've just fallen into is losing perfection and striving for experimentation. I love the things that I can't do again. If I can do something again, it won't mean as much to me as something that I can't do again. So if I can, even if it's like a simple pattern, Like these pants, the printing took me 3 hours, 4 hours, and that took 5 years of building up the courage to do. So I'm uh, I'm just kind of learning, teaching myself. Um, I started to get mentors with like printing, working with my friend Zach. He's been printing for like 10 years. So I can ask him questions, and I'm getting some sewing buddies that I can ask questions. But for the most part, it's a lot of just messing up. I've been very accepting of failure. That's the process, is just failing again and again until something works. That's why I like to wear the lab coat, because it feels like I'm a scientist just kind of like mixing chemicals. And I came across this at a vintage store, and no one wanted it. Apparently, no one likes to wear these type of coats just because they're a weird length, they're like trench coat style. Um, but even that, I wanted to rework, so I chopped like a foot off of it so I could actually wear it. Um, and I don't know, it's fun, just kind of mixing chemicals until something explodes. That's the thing, though. I don't even know like really what works and what doesn't. I'll just put out what I like, and if someone else likes it, that's great. If not, I have like 30 pieces printed, and I'm like, well, I got to do something with these. So I'll print on them again and just kind of wait. I have no idea what actually works. I just know what I like. It starts selfishly and then ends up hopefully selflessly. With this type of stuff, I think if you create for others, you're not really making what you like. So that was a hard pill to swallow, was being selfish first. But sometimes it's necessary. How do you define success? If your wildest dreams had already come true, what would your future self tell you to stop holding back? Success to me, I think, is different than success to most, since I am making everything one of one. Success is giving somebody something that they are able to join the vision of, where I will explain why I like something, and if you like it, then you can possibly leave with it. Um, and also know that there's nothing else like that. Everything is completely one of one, where I don't want two things to be the same. Even if I have two of the exact same blanks, I'll make them different on purpose. And that's really the success to me, is helping someone else identify with something that they know only they have. Everything's guaranteed one of one. Um, with the sewing, it's a little bit different because I do try to make things as well as possible. So like I would like to get to a place where I could make small batches of pants or small batches of jackets, but have them like a batch instead of just one of one. Um, but like even that, I'd still make things different on purpose. Um, yeah, one of one, different from every single piece. And then I think my biggest dream has already come true with being able to set up a gallery wherever I go. I don't treat it like markets. I don't really have an expectation. Also, 25 bucks, um, one market, and then make more than enough the next market. Either way, I mean, if one person likes what they see, I really don't care what happens, because I go there and I hand stitch and I get to still work. Um, that was really my biggest dream when I started, and it's still carried through. But now I'd like to possibly get to the point where I can treat this passion like something that is more scalable. Um, right now, it's still very small just because I'm doing everything, and I don't want to like recruit people. I want them to come to me. If they want to do it, I'll give them whatever resources, contacts. Um, I've taught people how to hand sew, how to print, how to sew, and that's really up to them if they keep going, because I'm gonna keep going regardless. So if you can keep up, you can join. If not, you can hang out, do it every once in a while if you want. But that's really what I wanted to do, and I'm starting to get more people on board. Um, so I don't really think I'm holding back. The only thing that's really holding me back is time. Um, Having to make and upload things and take pictures and try to make time for other people's projects that I want to be there for, or like even just going outside. There's no windows in the studio. I call it the cave. So like I'll go outside after probably 2 to 3 days, and it's like the first time I got fresh air. So just balance.
Do you sleep in your studio?
I'll crash there if necessary. I
Mm-hmm.
try not to just because I'd like to get some distance.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'll take I call it a nap. I don't like to sleep there. Um, I try not to make it very long because it's not very comfortable. But like, if it's necessary, I will. But I'd like to get to the point where I can live in the studio. Not that studio specifically. So you're not allowed to on the lease. But they also they don't make it very inhabitable for a reason. It's pretty cold in there. Um, there's like one bathroom for 100 units, and it gets the job done. But I'd like to be able to get to a spot where I can have studio and then bed right in the middle. And if I wake up, I can do stuff. And if I want to hang out, I don't have to do anything. But when I'm there, it's like I'm only really doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess that would also be success is to live in my studio space.
It seems like your art is your life. Like you don't really separate from it.
Yeah, I've tried to distance myself from it more recently.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way I could figure out doing that was to start actually going outside. Or else, I mean, like I've spent thousands of hours in there in the past year, um, just because it needs to get done. Um, but I like to remind myself that I'm making this and I'm not this. So I'm not lazy coop, but I'm making the movement. So working on a possible rebrand of sorts to help myself distance myself from my work. Because people call me lazy coop, but I am not lazy coop.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they see the handle, and like I call people by their handles too. Um, but I'd like that to just be the mission because I'm still a person. But it seems like some people only see me as the art.
Yeah. Do you think that that's because you don't really show yourself online though?
I'd say so.
Yeah. Like I think maybe people don't know your name.
A lot of people didn't for a long time, and I didn't mind that just because I didn't feel comfortable enough to have anything on display other than the art. But the more that it seems like people want to learn about what I'm doing, the more comfortable I feel showing myself. But I usually try to keep everything pretty separated, or at least I used to. But I want to also be able to feel comfortable either posting pictures of like things that my partner is taking photos of me for, or other people are doing that I'm involved with instead of it just being my art.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I started doing it, I really didn't have any understanding that that would be a thing. I just wanted to keep making, but now that I'm making, it's providing other opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So I still try to keep things pretty separated. I just always forget that what people see is only what they can see. So I'm definitely trying to work on creating some sort of separation. I've definitely worked on trying to speak in front of the camera. I've just found it a lot easier where if someone else has an idea of, or like a vision, I don't have a lot of vision when it comes to recording. I hate editing. So I like when other people, even if they just want to record me doing stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I'll do like whatever, yeah, that's great. But I don't like setting up the camera and then recording everything and then getting the different angles so my hands aren't in the way and having to think about everything. I just like doing. I feel like it takes me out of what I'm doing and it makes it a little bit less authentic. And I've tried to record different, like I'll do a lot of recording with the printing just because it is a lot faster, but like I can't record the bags being made over the course of 40 hours and chop it up because after I'm starting to edit that, I'm already making something else and my brain is already elsewhere. So I'll post like little 10-second videos of like the inside of the bags or like a quick breakdown of a pair of pants. But it's really hard to focus on one thing when the next thing is already in production.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to fall into the trap of becoming too comfortable with talking to my phone because I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. And I'd like to, a lot of the emotion that I have is put in the work. It's not put online. And I'm working on changing that. But yeah, I think it's a lot more comfortable to have other people get the angles or put their vision into it too. Because usually when I do the video, it doesn't end up well. Other people are good at what they're good at. I feel like if we put our strong suits together, like with this, your execution is incredible. And I feel like it's a lot easier to put two brains together. and have two strong things put into one. Um, I had someone reach out recently that they actually won a giveaway that I did at a market, and they connected me with some people at the Warhol. So we got to use their equipment, and like I just record on my phone, and they're recording on these wild cameras and incredible mics. Or like even my partner has an expensive camera and a great mic. Um, Mine is I think it's a $20 mic that you plug into your phone because I invest everything I have into the machines or the pieces. So I'm really left with nothing else. But I still take pictures on my phone just because it's faster.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to build community in that sense. And that way I can also promote those people that I trust and also want to build their own thing at the same time. I can have people like identifying with my work in a sense and only need, like, not need me, but like need what I'm doing. Like I want them to be doing their own thing too. Because I've learned a lot in the last year where you'll give opportunity to a lot of people and they'll have their own motives. So I've also been more, I think that's why I focus on the art. Just because when I do speak, I like to speak about the work, and then, if someone wants to help out, they can. I've also found a lot of incredible people that way. So it's just a lot of learning. I don't know, there weren't that many people in the trades. I worked with the same guy every day, and he really didn't say much. When he told me something about himself, I'd be shocked. So just kind of figuring everything out. What are you learning to love about yourself? I think I'm learning that imperfections in what I do and growth through things like failure are necessary. Before, everything had to be perfect. Now I appreciate and admire my peers and those around me. And I've learned that we're all kind of growing together and building together. And I focus on myself and meet with other people that are also focusing on their work. And then something beautiful usually happens. Before, I think I was too focused on everybody else and what they were doing. But I think that's because I was afraid to try and fail. And now I am excited to fail and just figure it out. That's, I think, the biggest thing. Everything else is just kind of wrapped up into that at this point. It's like the overarching, I do what I do, other people do what they do, and I force myself to grow. And I've been kind of forced to look in the mirror since I was very, very young. Um, just through going to therapy. I've been going to therapy since I was like 8, and I think that's made me understand a lot that I was kind of given the equipment for. So now it's just kind of like mitigating issues and learning, being open to learn. But I think that's also why I'm able to do what I do, because I've already done a lot of the late work. So I like to do a lot of listening now. How does it feel to be seen in this way? Any final thoughts? It's definitely different than what I'm used to. I don't do a lot of speaking. I haven't really relied on words to get a lot of points across. I try to put everything I have into the pieces. Um, Recently, I've started to try to see creation through words as well. But for like the last year, it was a lot of just music and creating things physically. And I feel like I'd lost a bit of myself just through that. So I'm trying to speak again and figure things out verbally. So things like this feels a bit foreign right now, but it also feels necessary. Yeah,
Well, thank you for doing it.
for sure. Yeah, it's important. Gotta know your comfort zone and grow.